Hey, everybody, welcome back to Breakfast All Day. Christy, Alonso, dropping today in theaters and on Peacock, because Peacock's a thing, and they want you to make it a thing, is David Gordon Green's Halloween Kills, his follow-up to Halloween, which was a remake of the other Halloween, the good one, the John Carpenter one. And so we're picking up right where we left off, right?
Very much so. Yeah. Although if we pick up where we left off, and then there's a flashback, and then we go back to where we left off. And this is just one of the many, many messy elements of Halloween Kills. Yeah, so this is the second part of David Gordon Green's Halloween reboot trilogy. There's a whole nother one coming after this. I can't imagine where else he's going to go with this, but there's more. And his longtime friend and collaborator, Danny McBride, is one of the screenwriters on this. So it is the same night. And Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, thinks that she and her daughter, Judy Greer, and their granddaughter have all finally killed Michael Myers, right? They've trapped him in the house. This very elaborate Home Alone situation. Yes, they've got him. They set the place on fire, and they're hauling ass to the hospital because she has been stabbed along the way. All the stuff that was interesting about that first David Gordon Green Halloween, was, relying on Jamie Lee Curtis to be a badass once again. That's really not here. That's not what this one's about, really, at all. So it turns out, though, because he's superhuman, he got out. How did he get out? Well, he just did.
The firemen go to put out the fire. And she's like, no. And I'm thinking okay, Laurie, you had all these plans for this death trap and you didn't think about the firemen were going to come to the house. And
let the motherfucker burn.
Exactly.
So once again, he goes on yet another Halloween night rampage. And what is so ridiculous about this is the notion that he's fortified with each kill to become increasingly superhuman. He gains strength. And because of that, there are no stakes. You just know he's going to kill everybody. You just know he's going to win every time. And for a big chunk of this, Jamie Lee Curtis is in a hospital bed. And it makes these really ungainly swings in tone between extremely grisly horror and comedy. And then it yearns to tug at whatever nostalgia you might have for the original 1978 Halloween, to the extent that Kyle Richards, Real Housewife Kyle Richards, is back playing the role that she played as a kid in 1978. Now she's a grown woman still in this town. Why do they all live in this town still? If you knew this asshole were out there killing people, wouldn't you leave and go trick-or-treating elsewhere?
Oh God, yeah. So many questions like that. This is a movie that wants to tell you that mob violence is bad, but also
let's talk about that.
Mobs are very effective when it comes to chasing down a homicidal fugitive. This movie there's this constant push and pull between two conflicting ideas that it can't wrap its head around. You're right. There's zero stakes because they have made Michael such a supernatural figure. And the whole point of this Gordon Green reboot, I didn't care for the last one. I don't know if you were more of a fan than me.
I think I liked it okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't work for me at all. But the idea was we're getting rid of all the other movies. We're going to pick up where 78 left off, but they've painted themselves in the same plot corner of making this guy completely indestructible and supernatural in terms of just being able to disappear and reappear when he feels like it. So it's what's the point if there seems to be no way to beat this guy? And so, yeah, you're just kind of left with, these sort of shouts out to the old movies. There's even a shout out to Halloween 3 Season of the Witch in here at one point.
Oh, I didn't catch that. What is it?
Involving masks that they find some people wearing. And it, and then just structurally speaking, as a horror movie, it's not particularly suspenseful because once you're in a scene where Michael's going to be there, it's just a matter of okay, well then he's going to kill somebody. Okay, whoo, and then on to the next one. And so I found this really unengaging. And this is also the third Halloween follow-up that winds up in a hospital. The original Halloween 2 does it. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 does it, and now David Gordon Green's second Halloween does it. And it's could we not come up with something else or come up with some way to use the hospital in a more interesting way? I still think the original Halloween 2 is a little underrated. It's not nearly as good as Halloween, but as a hospital slasher flick on its own, it's got its moments. But yeah, this movie, like Jamie Lee Curtis spends most of it bedridden. And it's like, well, all that previous movie had going for it was the idea of Jamie Lee Curtis in like full Ripley mode.
Yeah.
So who cares?
Yeah. And then the thing with the mob violence, first of all, I mean, clearly they made this movie a long time ago, but the idea of like mob violence being the answer is kind of an unpleasant message right now. Like, in terms, it's a little tone deaf. I mean, again, they couldn't help what happened on January 6th at the Capitol, but the idea of like the citizenry being, dissatisfied, right? And like Anthony Michael Hall is their ringleader, which I never would have recognized him. He looks different all the time now.
He does.
But so that is weird. And then, it wants to make Michael Myers this indestructible, fearsome figure. And yet it also wants you to feel sorry for him. It wants you to feel some sympathy for him in explaining why it is that he goes where he goes.
Yes.
Right. It wants to understand him and be sensitive to him in a psychological way that seems at odds with making us terrified of this person who is like an iconic horror figure.
Yeah. Michael, like this movie, just keeps looping back to the same place over and over and over again because he can't get rid of his own obsessions. And that's what this franchise does. It's like, if you're gonna do something with this iconic, unassailably great movie, and you're going to build something off of that, like, I don't feel like in either of these movies they've really done that in any way that's all that interesting.
There are some moments of kind of absurd humor that feel like they are a true reflection of the collaboration between David Gordon Green and Danny McBride. The whole thing with the gay realtor couple and how they're spending Halloween, I like that has a different vibe to it.
Watching Minnie and Moskowitz.
Yeah, that's strange.
I did like the idea that the long abandoned Myers home that nobody would touch because it was a horrifying murder house. Who's going to come in and renovate it? The gays.
Yay! They like it. It has good bones. They like its character.
Very good bones.
So like those scenes had a totally different vibe to them that was like a little funny and absurd given what's happening outside. And I kind of enjoyed that. And the beginning of the hospital is kind of amusing is the wrong word, but there's like an intriguing kind of humorous streak to the beginning of the hospital before the really angry mob gets riled up, when it's just like one person, then another, and they're all trickling in, and it gets getting overwhelming at the hospital.
There should have been a musical. Like that mob should have like a big Les Mis song going, and then Jamie Lee Curtis is like the Lady Macbeth of it all.
Yes, and Anthony Michael Hall keeps chanting, "Evil dies tonight." Yes. It's a whole lot of stuff going on at once, and then it wants to, I guess, be its own thing and yet make you feel nostalgic for what it used to be, which really it does it a disservice because it only points out how much better the original Halloween was. Yeah.
And I think also they sort of write themselves into this thing of saying the movie is basically saying this never ends. This will never end. There will always be this thing that we have to cope with. And it's like, well, then why are we here? Why do we keep telling this story if the story has no resolution and no solution? It's just this ongoing carnage that leads us nowhere.
And the whole point, I think, of horror is that, ultimately there's a catharsis. And that can't occur if the killer is superhuman and indestructible. Or the release at the end can't exist.
You can even have a horror movie where evil prevails and triumphs, but then evil has to want something, and has to exist as some sort of characterization rather than just the boogeyman, which is what this movie gives us. And it's like, well, what do we do with that?
That's what they actually call him too.
Yes, exactly.
They call him the boogeyman. One little bit of inside baseball for you, then we'll wrap up. So we were supposed to have gotten screeners of this on Tuesday night. There was a screening on Tuesday night, and they were supposed to have sent out screener links for us to watch at home. There's an app that Universal has. You can watch it on our TV through Roku. And then last minute on Tuesday afternoon, they're like, nope,
Yeah, we're not doing
so
that.
sorry. We're so sorry for the inconvenience, but we're not going to be able to get you your screeners on Tuesday night. Now, you can have them at midnight Eastern on Thursday when the movie comes out on Peacock. And it's like, why is that? Who made that decision?
The weird thing about that is like the movie premiered at the Venice Film Festival and got some not great reviews out of that. And so the idea that they continued forward with the idea of like, we'll have a screening and we'll send out links. And then that day deciding we're not sending out links anymore. It's like, do better, NBC.
It was very annoying. Anyway, so I watched Halloween Kills at 7:30 a.m. today after my kid went to school.
I got it this morning. I watched Morning Show, and then I watched because I pay for Peacock because I'm a big fan of We Are Lady Parts.
Okay. Well, there you go. So what's your number? I'm saying 3.
I said 3. Yeah. Okay. It's just, why are we here?
And there's going to be a whole nother one. I guess we'll have to review that too. Halloween ends, but does it ever?
Oh yeah. I'll believe it when I see it.
All right, our number is a 3. Halloween Kills, as Alonso mentioned, is in theaters and on Peacock.
It sure is. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. A lot of great stuff. Videos like this with 0 commercial interruptions, recaps of TV shows like The Morning Show, which we're currently talking about. Hawkeye's coming up. I can't wait. And of course, our monthly feature where subscribers get to pick a movie that we've never reviewed on the show before, and we go in deep on that. And this month for October, we offered up some scary choices, and they chose Julia Ducournau's Raw, which is now streaming on Netflix. It's the first film of the woman who directed the acclaimed Titan. And later this month, we'll be talking about that, which I'm very much looking forward to. And you can watch it if you're a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.